advocates whisper in the hall, where justice wears a mask and truth begins to fall. Every thread they pull, every lie they weave, in the courtroom's dance, who's left to believe? Oh, the devil's in the details, hiding in plain sight, innocent until the gavel steals the light. True crime echoes through the hollow night, fighting injustice with no end. The devil's in the details, hiding in plain sight, innocent until the gavel steals the light. True crime echoes through the hollow night, fighting injustice with no end in sight. A photograph fades where the truth once stood. Blurred lines between the bad and the good. The scales they tilt with every silver tongue, while the broken cry for a song unsung. Black robes sway like shadows on the wall. One wrong word and the mighty fall. Who's a sinner? Who's a saint? The jury's out, but the verdict's faint. Oh, the devil's in the details, hiding in plain sight, innocent until the gavel steals the light. True crime echoes through the hollow night, fighting injustice with no end. The devil's in the details, hiding in plain sight, innocent until the gavel steals the light. True crime echoes through the hollow night, fighting injustice with no end in sight.
Ladies and gentlemen, do you want to know why I'm here today? It's not because I want to give you a pep talk or because I want to make you feel good about yourselves. No, I'm here to tell you the truth.
All right, everybody, welcome into a Tuesday edition of Crimes After Dark, the Devil's Advocate show with my other advocates backstage. We got Robin. One's back from being sick as a dog over the holidays. That poor bastard having the holidays to be sick is the worst thing ever. I'll have my team up on screen pretty quickly. I think we're going to be missing a couple of our regulars tonight just due to various things. One of them is sick. It seems to be that time of year. Even I thought I was getting a cold last night. So things like are going around, I guess, this time of season. And even though we're in different parts of the world, literally we're all coming down with sickness around this time, which kind of sucks. But so we've got Jason Estes. Looks like he's a little under the weather, maybe not be joining us. Joe was already planning on taking some of this week off to get some things done that he needed to get done. His schedule has changed around, so we're going to see Joe hit and miss as he can make it in, but he is trying to make it as much as possible. Plans to be here tomorrow night and Friday night for sure, and most of next week. But he's got some stuff to work around. Let me say some hellos to some people, and then we will start bringing up our panelists. And I want to invite everybody, by the way, to take an opportunity tonight to join us and ask questions. This is a great night to do so. We have a low news show, which means that I don't have a lot to cover in headlines. I've got a few news stories that caught my attention. a few things I want to bring up about stuff that's going on in the Idaho 4 case, Luigi Manjoni's case in particular. But other than that, we're pretty open. So if you have anything on your mind tonight that you want to talk about, this is a great time for you to jump on the show. So you take that link, and if you get queued up backstage by clicking that link, you can go camera or just phone or just microphone if you want. You don't have to show your face, and that would be fine. So we have this running thing going on between Amanda and Penny trying to beat each other into being the first here. It looks like Amanda won again by a little bit. Penny might have been waiting in the wings, but didn't want to say anything yet. So who knows? Because she just shortly responded after that. Essie, welcome to the house as well. Open your peepers, regular. Thank you for coming. I'm excited to have you coming in on a regular basis. Thank you so much. Amanda B, of course, does all our great graphics and so many other things, including Discord moderation, YouTube moderation, all those things. Like there's a lot of people. Penny's a YouTube mod as well, does things on the back end for us as well. So there's a lot of our regular supporters to the channel. As the channel grows, we need more and more support. A lot of administrative stuff going on, including, by the way, I'm getting ready to start filing legal documents, or at least requests for public information and legal documents that go along, such as filing a criminal complaint, perhaps in the Idaho 4 case. We'll talk about that a little bit coming up here shortly. And I know that I'm not the only person in the YouTube world that's thinking about filing criminal complaints or starting the legal process and that. So we'll talk a little bit about that and maybe what those efforts look like. Let's see. Shield Maiden, welcome to the show. Becca 1019, welcome. Heidi. And by the way, tell me where you're coming from. Does that mean Minnesota or does that mean something else? But anyways, I'd love to know where people are coming in from. Let's see, who else we got? Christine Hurd, 4116. Welcome, Caden Christian 2708. Welcome. Queen of Denial. Thank you so much for coming in. Good to see you. Let's see, who else do we have? Anybody else that I'm missing as far as new? 1-1, of course, we talked about being backstage. Robin's backstage. Troubled Ocean again from the East Coast. Thanks for coming in. Long time no talk. Good to see you. But I see you all the time. We just haven't talked a lot lately, but very cool. R.S. Layton as well. Hello, Den. Christmas trees aren't only things getting lit. Christmas trees aren't the only things getting lit. Took me a while to get that. Fantastic. Good for you. Fantastic. Rhonda, welcome. Rhonda's in the house. As I always say, literally in the house, like literally in the house. She-Devil next door in the next room over. And then I'm broadcasting on multiple platforms tonight. Dale Harrison, welcome. Good evening from North Carolina. Thank you. Just up north of our South Carolina friend on the show. So very cool to have Carolina represented. So cool. Heidi, we already talked about that. Soul Warrior 7, another name that I just noticed for the first time tonight. So welcome. Good to see you. And anybody else? Let's bring I think we're about to bring Foxy Rose as well. I'm not putting these people's names on the thing, but Paco Jewel. Not sure how to pronounce that, but anyways, lots of names in here, lots of cool names. People that I see, Sassafrassi, very, very cool. Lots of cool. Becky, Becky. Anyways, fantastic. TN ads. Anyways, lots of names. B Randy, welcome. Hey, how you doing? Let's get our panelists up on screen. I'm going to unmute their mics, and then I'm going to and I got to add. Look at that, Robin and 1-1. Robin, how you doing tonight?
I'm doing well, thank you. Nice to see
cool.
everyone. 1-1. Of course, you, Lee. Everyone here in the chat, Amanda and all those guys. Penny, Rhonda, good to see you. So, really glad to be here with everyone tonight.
How you feeling, 1-1? Are you fully recovered? You were like, last time I heard you were like 99 or 97.6% there. Oh. Are you all back?
I'm back. I had some a fresh pint of blood, rejuvenated me. I'm all good.
Got some good B positive, did you?
Yeah, we affectionately call 1-1 the vampire because the guy never sleeps. He's got a full-time job, he's got a family, he's got kids, and he runs crazy amounts of shit on the back end of our channel, watching a bunch of other YouTubers for me and saying, hey, by the way, you got to check out so-and-so's video today or so-and-so's video. Like, I don't know where you, and I feel like you watch all my videos. I don't even know how a person keeps up with all my videos, much less all of everybody else's videos as well. You literally never sleep, I don't think so.
Yeah.
Sleep's overrated.
This is true.
So, anyways, we have a pretty loose show. Again, I want to put in I want to put in one more time, and I really, really, really want to encourage you to take an opportunity to come up on stage with us and ask some questions from our very limited panel. But we've got a lot of great minds here, so I think that we would have a great conversation. We treat people very, very nicely. You treat us nicely, we'll treat you nicely back. You be a dick, we'll just put you in timeout for a while. You be a dick again, you're probably going to get kicked out the rest of the live. And if you be a dick again, you'll get kicked off the channel. So don't be twice dick or 3 times dick. three times a dick and you're out. You can be a little dick, but you can't be a big dick. So
sorry.
So anyways, let me put some stuff on screen here. Let's see if I can do this. We need to remove that. We're going to put this. Yeah, I don't have my production down as well as I should. So this is my typical title slide saying welcome. As I go through the slides, it kind of gives me a reminding of my talking points. So again, we do nightly live, 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. We're trying to stay very, very consistent with that. Since we started doing consistent nightly lives, even though we're going against some of the big channels in prime time in the US, this is a very, very sweet time for television stations and for YouTube channels on the US side of things, because it makes it so that you're in the sweet spot for both both West and East Coast, before it gets too late for East Coasters and right after dinner or after work for the West Coasters. So anyways, puts us in prime time, but we're going against large things. But as we continue to do consistent nightly lives, our numbers keep picking up. So thank you all for supporting this channel. We're getting a lot more love. I don't want to sound braggy, but it's pretty cool. I started this a year ago, and nobody knew who I was. And I'm finally getting to the point now where I'm watching people repeat my talking points from the day before. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like people are watching me. They're literally talking about that shit I just talked about last night. It's pretty cool. It's a nice turn of events. And I want to let, by the way, those channels that do watch our stuff and whatever, please reach out to me. Like if you're watching my channel, let's go collaborate. Let's get together, as Ice Baby would say. Stop, collaborate, and listen, and we'll do something like we'll get it done. So I'm always looking for guest collaborations. I love the community coming together and putting their minds together. So don't feel like you're out there on an island. I would love to talk to you. So again, I recommend call-in guests. Take the opportunity, if you can, to join us. And we have, oh, wow, how did I do that? Like, I just cleaned up these slides. Did I put the wrong slideshow on tonight? Because I'll know here in a minute when I get to the next slide. That slide shouldn't have been there talking about the Custody Queens premiere. That's already done, or Dago. So I'm like, did I just put the wrong slides on screen? That would be horrible. So I'll know in a minute, because I know I just worked on a bunch of slides. And so you know what I'm gonna do? You guys cover me for a minute. Cover me. I'm going backstage. Yeah, cover me.
Sounds good. So how's everyone doing tonight? How you doing, Robin?
I'm doing well, thank you. How about you? Glad
I'm good. Yeah,
yeah. Here and you look good.
Yeah, I was definitely sick for a good 3-4 days. It was horrible.
I know. And over the holiday, that totally stinks.
Yeah.
So, just a couple of housekeeping things real quick while Lee's doing his thing. Please like the video, share, please. Thank you to everyone who always does. We really appreciate that. Let's have the chat be respectful with one another. We want to have a good time. We encourage respectful debate. We like to hear differing opinions and so forth. So we're always up for a good debate as long as we're respectful. So, and just appreciate all you guys being here tonight.
And by the way, if we have a low news night and a low conversation and nobody jumps on, maybe I'll play both of our cool songs that we've got, Pretty Much, and the new Murphy song, Murphy the Traveling Dog. That's amazing as well.
Kudos to Cat Farm.
Yeah, Murphy the teleporting dog video. Yeah, so we might play both of those if we don't get a lot going on. Just as a reminder, we do have still a sale going on, 30% off of my merchandise. Oh yeah, I guess because it's a little lower night, bear with me to do a shameless plug of my wife modeling the stuff. By the way, I sold one of these. I thought I said this. I need to put a disclaimer on this modeling job right here. There is a trick of camera because of my green screen effect that part of the lettering, which has some greenish color in it, makes the letter drop away and you see the background through it. So it looks badass, like metallic effect on the shirt and stuff like that. Unfortunately, it's not see-through transparent and you can see people through your body. Like, it would be really cool if I could do that. I would sell the piss out of these things. But let me take a moment, if I will, to there you go. See how that's kind of glowy, shimmery? That's because the lighting effects are kind of playing with the lettering, unfortunately. But this is what it looks like. Is it real? Oh, it's a teaser for a Pretty Much song for later. Can I tell you what I've seen? Pretty much at 4 a.m. All right, so there you go. If you want to get yourself one of those merchandise, it's kind of a limited edition at the lib because we are moving towards the devil's in the details as our slogan. That jersey says, and that shirt says "Facts over Feelings," which I'm not completely doing away with. It's going to be an alternate kind of thing, but we are moving to a different line. So if you want to get some of those, it could be a limited edition. So check that out. And I've already sold some after we had the wife model that. I had somebody tell me specifically, I bought that because your wife modeled it. And now I see how cool they are. So there you have it. All right.
So I see a few questions here. Rhonda, no, Rhonda, to address you, I have not heard Cat Farm's new song on Murphy the teleporting dog, so I will hear it for the first time, I guess, tonight.
Oh, no way.
I have not heard it.
You haven't heard?
No,
Oh my God.
no, I have not heard it.
Dude.
I have not heard it.
You're in for
What
it.
else? Yes, the weather in New York is, we didn't get snow. It's rainy. And earlier I see someone, they were asking about my cigar. It's called Aliados. It's EP Carrillo. It's like a collaboration type cigar. So some people ask about the cigars.
Yeah. That's hilarious. Oh wow, I can't believe that.
No, I didn't hear it. I'm looking forward to it.
Oh my God, it's good, man. It's good. I wouldn't say it's 100% as good as Pretty Much because that was just priceless, but it's up there. It's
oh yeah,
it's good stuff. And I put some graphics to it, which makes it even funnier.
Right.
So anyways, let's talk about a few more things in the news. And then I'm trying to decide, do I do the Pretty Much and the Murphy thing at the end of the Kobberger stuff before we go into another case, or do I save it to the very, very end? I don't know. The 5 cases that I cover, the devil's advocates, and by the way, in case you are under a rock and don't know exactly what I mean by the devil's advocates, if you've ever heard the phrase playing devil's advocates with something, it's basically where you take somebody's position and you play devil's advocates. What if it didn't happen that way? So you think you've got a slam dunk case. Everyone knows Brian Kobberger killed those 4 kids in Idaho, but let's play devil's advocates for a minute. What if he didn't do it? What if he was only the getaway driver? What if he didn't do it at all? What if somebody else did it and they blamed a guy because they couldn't get the guy who actually did it? That's what I kind of do on my channel, is I play devil's advocates with mainstream media news stories, especially ones that I smell something rotten from the very beginning. So cases that have drawn my attention right now, Idaho 4, yes, is still on my radar. I still have questions in that case. In fact, I'm moving forward with putting more pressure on. I'm getting ready to file a criminal complaint and a more specific records request. I'll tell you a little bit about that in a minute, and some other people that are thinking about doing that as well. I am kind of reaching out, trying to see if we can get get our heads together. But it seems right now, YouTubers either haven't seen my emails, don't know who the hell I am, or everybody wants to go independent so that they can be the one who broke the case kind of thing. But whatever the case may be, I'd love to see some more minds coming together and have a concerted effort of doing this, because I think it would be better for all of us in the long run if we put our heads together. But yes, maybe a 3-pronged approach is better than a 1-pronged approach. But I'm kind of like the coordinated attack kind of guy myself. We talk about Charlie Kirk, the assassination of Charlie Kirk, and the trial of Tyler Robinson. Very little is being said about Tyler Robinson anymore, which should surprise you. Almost all the news on Charlie Kirk is Candace Owens. All you hear about is Candace Owens' new theory. for the day. We're going to talk a little bit about Candace Owens' effect on the Charlie Kirk case. Talk about Luigi Manjoni. Luigi Manjoni is a big deal right now, unfortunately, and I don't know what it is. I haven't found, and I don't know about you guys on my panel, but I haven't found yet any YouTuber who's big and covers Luigi Manjoni. And part of me makes me wonder, like, am I just missing something? Because I went out there looking, I can't find anybody who's big covering Luigi Manjoni. Somebody said all of the platforms, TikTok, YouTube, everybody is suppressing Luigi Manjoni material in particular. So it doesn't matter how good you are or how big you are, they aren't going to push Luigi Manjoni content. And so when you cover it, you're doing so at your own peril if you're a YouTuber and you want to keep your channel numbers up, because maybe they're suppressing the topic. If you mention Luigi Manjoni, you just don't get pushed to a lot of people. I don't know if that's true or not. You know, I would tend to say it's not true if there was even one big YouTuber covering the case, but I don't see anybody big covering the case, and I have a hard time believing that nobody cares about the case. So it makes you wonder. But
yeah, I haven't seen anyone either.
Yeah, and it's such a big. It has the potential to be such a huge
monumental case.
Right.
Yeah. Absolutely.
It could be monumental in many different ways. I feel like it could potentially make a change in the healthcare system based on the fallout from this case. There's all kinds of things. It's also a constitutional case. It has to do with a lot of constitutional violations of people's civil liberties, and that's an important thing to see. How far are you willing to go just to get the bad guy because you're so you want to make them public enemy number one? Do people get a different level of attention if you shoot somebody important versus a little person? Should we be paying more attention because he shot the CEO of a healthcare company than if he shot your sister or your brother? Is it right in America that we spend more time and resources trying to get a guy because of the station, the person you worked for makes you more important than somebody else? Because in this country, you're not supposed to, you're not supposed to put somebody over another person and think that they're more important and deserve a higher form of justice. So all those questions need to be asked in this case, in my opinion. We've got Lisk, of course, the Long Island serial killer case. Those don't know, that's a super exciting case. I'm 100% interested in the Long Island serial killer case and whether Rex Heuermann was the killer. And I tend to believe that the 7 people that they've attributed to Rex Heuermann may not all be his. I am kind of the opinion, although I'm open-minded and I believe on this channel in the presumption of innocence until proven guilty. We should treat Rex Heuermann as he has the presumption of innocence until proven guilty, instead of going, we know he did it and I hope they fry him, because we don't know yet. Wait till we see the trial. But the point being is that even I, in my gut, say there's a likelihood that he is a serial killer, and I feel like they've known about it. I think they've covered it up for a long time. I think Suffolk County has been involved with covering up for the Long Island serial killer for a long time. And in light of that, I cover a lot of Shannon Gilbert's case, the missing Shannon Gilbert from 2010. John Ray, the attorney that went after trying to get justice for Shannon Gilbert. I've had him on the show. We've interviewed him. We've had him as a friend of the show. I've gone and visited him in New York and spent some time with him. And so he is now in the process of going after a lawsuit against Dr. Charles Peter Hackett, an individual that Shannon Gilbert went to his house that night, allegedly. He took her in, allegedly, called her mother and said, I saw your daughter that night. I took her in, I treated her medically and sent her on her way. And then she disappeared and died, but I had nothing to do about it. And when the police come and tell me, ask me about it, I say, I never saw her that night. So he changed his story. And that's a problem for Shannon Gilbert's, family. So they're trying to get justice and find out what exactly Peter Hackett knew and why he lied and changed his story about what happened with Shannon that night. So it's a story that I stay on a lot, because while it's not directly, because Suffolk County Police will tell you that that's not related to the Rex Heuermann case, but it is in a way, because Shannon had run-ins with Rex Heuermann in the past. So anyways, I know I waxed long about a case I have while I'm doing my intro slides. And then lastly, Mickey Steins. And it's funny, I keep telling everybody I'm covering Mickey Steins. We haven't done a Mickey Steins news piece forever, in part because nothing's really happening right now. Mickey Steins is in prison, in jail, awaiting stuff. He's already claimed insanity. And so that's their defense. They're going to go for insanity. This is the sheriff who gunned down a judge in his judge's chambers. But there's a lot more to that story, And so I'm waiting for something. I am filing some requests of public records in that case, a mysterious death in that case that I'm looking into to see if we can get an official answer about how that person died, because somebody just mysteriously died in a major story that stinks and has all kinds of corruption going on. And when somebody just mysteriously dies, it makes me go, Why do you just report and that person died? Like, that's like, no, never mind. That was a major person. And they just, oh, they died. How about we talk about why? So anyways, let's talk about Idaho 4, which is, by the way, most people's focus still. There's a part of me, guys, there's a part of me that still doesn't understand the fascination in a way with Idaho 4 in the sense, right, that Kobberger pled guilty. And I hear every single day, get over it, man. The guy pled guilty. We know what happened. Why are you still talking about it, you piece of shit YouTuber? And I'm like, again, because a large part of us realize the official story stinks and it doesn't make any sense. And there are reasons why people plead guilty when they feel like the cards are stacked against them and they're not going to get a fair trial and they're going to be executed no matter what they do. So are we sure? Wouldn't it be nice if they just gave us that piece of evidence that would put it all to bed? They're like, oh, there it is. No question now that Kobberger did it. But you know what? They literally said on the stand, we can't place Kobberger in the house. We don't know how he did it. We don't know if he was stalking the girls. We don't know how he picked that house. We know nothing. And we literally can't put him in the house. But you know what? We convicted him anyways and he took a plea deal. So he did it and he said he did it. That made people happy. It makes me bothered. and it makes a lot of people bothered.
Yeah.
So for those who are not familiar, I'm going to tell you about, so the other day, I was ranting about I'm ready to start suing the Moscow Police Department or the state of Idaho. I had done some research about what things we can do as the public to put pressure on what are apparent lies, omissions, and highly redacted stuff to this day that we still can't get. And like, the case is over. Why is everything still redacted? And so there are legal requirements for them to do things that they're not doing. When I did some early research, I found that Moscow, it's not just Moscow, Idaho in particular is one of the worst states in the entire United States that blocks, stonewalls, and tries to not give public information to the public and hides behind these gag-ordered cases. When you ask for public records, they either will lie to you and tell you that they don't have the record, they'll stonewall you and just not answer your request for the record, or they'll give you what I got, which was a response that says, what you're asking for is a lot of work. We need $20,000 to give you the documents that you're requesting. You need to pay us $10,000 up front. I've got that in writing. I read it on my thing. And several other YouTubers did the same thing. I got the same exact email from Moscow Police Department. We need $20,000 to complete your request for public records. They can't fucking do that. They did, but they can't, not by law. So the only way that you can combat that is you need to file a criminal complaint against them for violating the law. You need to cite the law. You need to go to the district attorney. You got to hope that the state's district attorney isn't corrupt, which good luck on that one, maybe. I don't know. But anyways, there is a process to follow, including filing criminal complaints when they aren't making things public because they just want to stonewall you and just not go for it. And I know people are saying Lana's going for it. I know. I'm trying to get a hold of Lana. After, I'm not saying she did it after I did, but I said I was going to sue, and then the next day I saw Atlanta put out a notice that she's suing, and then I saw Phoenix was suing, and I'm like, okay, all of us apparently got on the same page at the same time that we're thinking about suing. Maybe we should all talk and have a coordinated attack. So let me tell you, I'm gonna tip my hat a little bit. So MPD, if you're listening to this right now, I guess wait for the email that's coming soon, or actually wait for the letter that's coming soon. But here's where we're going to start with. Here's my logic. In January of 2025, Ann Taylor put the lead detective in the case, Brett Payne, who was in charge of the investigation within 24 hours. Understand, there was another person that was initially in charge of that investigation. Brett Payne was put in charge within 24 hours of the murders as the lead investigator. As the lead investigator, he told us in January of 2025 that the first time Moscow police, here's the catch. Here's where they're going to try and get out of it and wiggle out of it. He said, I never heard the name Brian Kobberger until December 19th of 2022 when the FBI told me Brian Kobberger's name. I had never heard of his name until then. Ann Taylor knew that was bullshit, in my opinion, and asked him 5 times. So you're telling me that the first time you heard of Brian Kobberger was on December 19th? Yes, ma'am. So before December 19th, you didn't hear the name Brian Kobberger? No, ma'am. So and she did 5 times, I think, she made him say, yes, December 19th is the first time. Now, here's the problem. They'll try to wiggle off this worm, I know, by saying, well, technically, Brett Payne didn't say Moscow Police Department didn't know about Brian. He's saying that he personally didn't know. Well, he's the lead fucking detective, and he had been on it for over a month. So you're telling me your lead detective, the guy who's in lead in the investigation, has never heard the name, but other people in the department, including 2 other officers at MPD that we now knew Brian Kobberger's name on the 5th of December. I'll explain that in a minute. 2 other officers we know for sure knew Brian Kobberger's name on the 5th of December. So the lead investigator doesn't know, but his other officers know? That's bullshit. It's bullshit. They're gonna try to wiggle off of it and say, well, technically he didn't lie. Brett Payne just didn't know about it. Okay, so you're the lead investigator, but you don't know Brian Kobberger's name. So what I'm gonna do is this. I'm gonna file a request, and I'm gonna give them the paperwork. Brett Payne said on this date 5 times that you guys didn't know the name Brian Kobberger until December 19th. According to Idaho State Police forensic documents, you received from Moscow Police Department a submission on a police report from Blake, and there was another officer. It was received on December 5th, and it listed suspect Brian Kobberger in the murders. So on December 5th, you told us you'd never heard of Brian Kobberger's name. I've got 2 of your police officers' name. Yeah, Orondo, it wasn't. So Orondo was the person who received it at the Idaho State Police. Anyways, I've got those documents. I show Idaho State Police received a police report from Moscow Police Department saying there were 2, and here's the thing. They said there were 2 suspects. One of them is redacted. We don't get to know who it is. I think I know who it is, but one of their names is redacted and you don't get to know who it is. The other name that was unredacted is Brian Kobberger. Brian Kobberger was listed as a suspect on December 5th. And maybe you think that's a no, never mind, but you have to understand when the lead detective says on the stand that we never heard of him until the 19th. And Ann Taylor's argument was you already knew who you wanted. You knew of Brian Kobberger maybe as early as November 29th, but certainly by December 5th. And then you developed a DNA profile to get Brian Kobberger. You already knew who you wanted. And so you developed DNA to go after the guy you wanted. That's the argument she was starting to make. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to file a complaint that says, explain to me how it is. This record says you knew Brian Kobberger's name on the 5th, but under oath, your lead detective said that you didn't know about him until the 19th. And so therefore, I am requesting all records that Moscow Police Department has listing Brian Kobberger's name prior to the date of December 19th. I want to see all email communications between you and the FBI. I want to see all email communications that have anything to do with Brian Kobberger in your emails. And I want all of that information. They will probably say no, as where is the point you have to get to the point of talking about suing, because they're not going to give you that information, but they have to. So that's my stance. So there are people who are starting to do that. That's my avenue. I'd like to know where Atlanta is going to start. I'd like to know where Phoenix is going to start. These other creators have said that they're going to do similar things, but I don't know where they're starting. That's where I think I'm going to start. And there's lots of avenues to go. But
I heard. I think I mentioned to you. I don't remember. Lana has a bunch of stuff. I know, particular with her. I know there's one reference to some kind of interview or whatnot where a document is basically referring to that the interview was recorded, and she was asking for the recording, the whatever recording it is, whether it's audio or video, and she got a response back saying that there's no recording. But how can you say there's no recording if you're releasing an official document from the case saying that you're referencing a recording? But now you're saying that no, it doesn't exist. Well, what do you mean it doesn't exist? It's you said that. It's like ridiculous.
And I'm learning this as I go, but here's how it works. So the way I'm going to explain, reword what you just said is they probably have listed somewhere on an index or whatever that the recording is there. Then she asks for the recording, which they've already acknowledged is there, and they say, we don't have the recording. That is something that I've been told Idaho does all the time. Lie and say they don't have something that they've already admitted they have, and then they lie and tell you, we don't have that recording. Yeah, you do. It's on an index. And apparently one of your only recourses is to file a criminal complaint. On this page, on this date, you show this document. Now I'm requesting it, and you're telling me you're not doing it. So you send it to the Attorney General of the state, and you say, criminal complaint. They're stonewalling and lying, saying that they don't have it when they list it on their page as something they have. And then you got to hope maybe you get a lawyer who wants to put some teeth behind it and say, okay, well, I'll represent that case because you got something. But somebody needs to start the ball. So we'll start the ball rolling and see what happens. It could be a long game. By the way, for those people who are super excited about it, I think you should get excited about it, and I think you should get behind it, and I think you should try to encourage these YouTubers to file these criminal complaints, requests for public information, public statements if you need, to have them explain why their lead detective doesn't know Brian Kobberger's name when it's on their documents on the 5th, days or weeks before he said he knew about it. All of those things should be put on for pressure. But here's where I get discouraged. John Ray has been trying to go after Peter Hackett since 2012, and he just got approved to go after him. Right. It's been over a decade that he's been trying to go after him, and he just got approved to go after him. So it's a long game. This is not going to happen probably overnight. They're going to stonewall. You're going to have to fight. You're going to have to get lawyers. You got to hope that you get a lawyer who wants to work pro bono and will be like, I'm going to fight that for free because they're assholes. There's people like that, like John Ray. Yeah. Like, you know what? They're assholes. I'll just fight them for free. So we'll see. But anyway, so yeah, go ahead.
I see a comment here from Wolfie Wisdom. You said Brian is not some master trained killer, in and out in 10 minutes or less. Absolutely. So there's 100 different theories. We could talk about, this happened or that happened, but bottom line, whether Kobberger whether he is indeed guilty, that he helped or he drove the car or whatever it is, even if you want to believe that he was in the house, although there's no evidence, right? Came from Santa Claus. Santa Claus himself says can't prove he was in the house, so we'll go by he wasn't in the house. What I would say to address your comment there, I absolutely like. So how could that happen? How you have to, if you want to take some of again like Dylan and Bethany and. There may be some stuff that they say. There may be some truth to stuff, but it's hard because they tell so many lies and so many stories. So what is true, what is not? Mm-hmm. But if you want to believe, you listen to some of the comments they've said, or even from some other people or some of the other friends, they pretty much said that house had paper wall. The walls were paper thin, right? That you could hear everything. Forget about even outside the house, just talking about inside the house, right? Because they were in their bedroom. They were, they heard all these, some noises and crying and whatnot. So we want to go by their, mainstream media says, this was a targeted attack. And it very well may be a targeted attack, but you look at the facts and you look at the stuff that they give us. If you're going to believe, first off, that all four people were all four people are asleep, right? Okay, so if you want to believe one person went in, he went upstairs, maybe, okay, Maddie is sleeping. Maddie gets stabbed. But then what? Then Kaylee's going to wake up. Or someone's going to wake up in the middle of this. They're going to start screaming. There's going to be all kinds of noises. Then you have Xana, right? You have Xana and Ethan downstairs. So you're going to say, how could it possibly one person, it's like Murphy, the teleporting dog. I mean, this guy, what is he, some kind of super ninja? He's going to go teleporting downstairs to kill everyone. That even if the perpetrator, if you want to say, okay, the perpetrator is BK, he had a gun on him too. Maybe he didn't use the gun. He had a gun. That's how he held everyone. Well, you still got two other people downstairs. Now you're going to hear all kinds of noises, screaming, banging, all kinds of nonsense. So the way to me, what does make sense, if you want to, if we're going to go down well, not the rabbit hole, but if you want to believe more so that all of them were killed in the house, this is to me what would show that maybe some of them were killed at the same time. It's very likely that one perpetrator, however, they said that Kaylee's, one of her windows was unlocked. So somehow maybe they came from upstairs. We don't know this. It's just possibly someone came through upstairs, and maybe one perpetrator was downstairs. If that's two, maybe there's more than two. But I believe, I think, they'll give what they say in a second. I'm pretty sure Lee and Robin also feel the same. At the very least, I believe there's at least two perpetrators, at least one upstairs and at least one downstairs. So if you have one upstairs that's doing some kind, and you look at the knife wounds that they had too. The injuries are not the same. Of like of how a certain person would be fighting or stabbing or whatnot. So I do believe that it's very highly likely, if Xana and Ethan were murdered in the house and in their bedroom, or Xana's bedroom, it happened pretty much probably just around the same time that was going on with Kaylee and Maddie. I know sometimes it's hard to think because you have in your mind, but mainstream media said that Xana was getting DoorDash and she went upstairs and caught someone in the act. You have to get that out of your mind, because it's kind of like, if someone says something, the same thing, they say the same thing over and over and over and over again, obviously, like you have in your mind, but that's not what they said. Same thing, how many times does the mainstream media say Brian Kobberger, good old Nancy Grace and Brian Etten and all these other hooligans? Brian Kobberger he's a crazy stalker, and he cleaned his car in his garage and he did all this stuff, and it's all false. He didn't clean his car. It's all nonsense.
Right. It is. And again, I mean, like, there's we could go through a million different problems with the case. It's funny because I almost wanted to stop you when you started to get onto you called Murphy the teleporting dog, because I'm feeling like, what a segue, because literally I had this video that I did, and you see Murphy depicted as was it Falcor from Never Ending Story, the flying dog with the big ears,
I love that movie. I love that movie.
Right. And then so I went on a rant, and I tried to cue it up for you guys where you were talking. I went on a rant where I talked about Murphy, and I'm talking about the people who said Murphy was running around the house outside. Murphy was missing. Murphy was back. He was out back. Murphy was in the bedroom. He was out of the bedroom. Murphy was running down the hall. He wasn't running down the hall. But Murphy has no blood on him whatsoever. And so I ranted. I'm like, this dog is a teleporting motherfucking Sasquatch that apparently can go all over the place and not get a drop of blood on him in a crime scene where that dog is all over the place. Some people say he's out of the house. Some people say he's in the house. People say he's out back. He's barking. He's over at the Jack DeCour's house. He's brought over by Dylan that day. Like, that's just a fucking magical dog. So I ranted, and finally, Cat Farm, our wonderful audio specialist, put together a video, or I put together a song for Murphy the teleporting dog. I want to share that with you now because I think it's worthy. Since I just did a rant that was almost worthy of that, I'm going to go ahead and play for you that audio that got done and see if we can do that. Do you hear the sound?
Yeah, I hear it.
All right, check this out. I think y'all appreciate this. Make sure to listen to the words because they're
Barking all night, but nobody hears. So far in the distance, then gradually nears. A fleeting encounter, then disappears. How did he leave? Did he fly with his ears? Murphy! He's a magical teleporting dog. It's Murphy. He's a cute and curly golden demigod. Not a mark on him, not a hair left behind. He's better behaved than all humankind. He'll clean up his paw prints for some bacon rind. Before you know
Is it the White Elantra?
This is great.
He's a cute and curly golden demigod. Traveling the universe through space and time. How do you do it? You're key to this crime. Are you here? Are you there? Are you anywhere or everywhere?
It's like the last song. It's super catchy.
It's unbelievable.
I know it's like this is in such poor taste. At least this is Murphy.
He's a
Not
magical
Dylan.
teleporting dog.
I love this.
It's Murphy. He's a cute and curly golden demigod. You're such a good dog. You're such a good dog.
Oh, that was awesome.
Yeah, so I mean,
That was so good.
we do some inappropriate things on the show. That might be one of them, but it's like I said, it's slightly less offensive than the Dylan song, which is probably more catchy with the Pretty Much song. We'll probably play that on the way out because a lot of people have already seen it before, and it's one of those things that needs a disclaimer. Like if you're highly offended, you need to leave probably right now before I play that song, because some people don't like that kind of humor, but. It lightens what is a very dark subject. So anyway,
Yeah.
let's continue on some thoughts here about the Kobberger case. I just wanted to make a comment.
Yeah,
go ahead.
I was going to say, well, Bina, you mentioned the dog. You know what's super interesting, and it comes from your video, from your with Rhonda when you did the walk around, the daylight tour of the area. That I know you played it on you played it on Birdie's show as well. That dog sounded awfully similar, very similar to the dog that we heard, and that dog. Phoenix also mentioned it, and just one of the dog that dog. It's actually that guy. He was interviewed multiple times, and it's quite interesting. Is this guy keeps popping up in a few different areas. Jeremy Regan is his name. Mm-hmm. He did a few interviews, and that is the same guy who said that. So his balcony faces. He could see the balcony of 1112. He has a dog, and he would go for walks. And he's also the same guy who we showed the video where he said that he saw panties and wine cork or something in the street. So just very, very, very interesting. So is it highly, we don't know, but is it, obviously where, we go by the info, right, that they give us, but it's common sense would say, obviously, with the amount of stabbings and evidence and blood and all this stuff all over the place, where the hell is Murphy? Well, yeah, it's very, very highly believable that I almost am willing to believe now. I'm probably 75, 80% that I believe now on that video from 1112 at 420. I don't even think that's Murphy that we hear.
I don't either.
Think it's a different dog.
It's not the right cadence and timbre.
Yeah.
And that's
that I'm 99% positive that is the same dog based on the way that it barks, the cadence, and the timbre. So,
and your video, Lee, that you showed, I think that almost pushed it over the edge for me. I don't think that's Murphy.
Yeah, I know. On the daylight footage, I walked past and a dog barks at me, and a lot of people are like, "Oh my God, that's the same dog you heard."
Yeah.
I want to caveat this.
I know.
There's a reason why I don't go for isolated audios and whatever, because here's what happens. People take a video and they hear a dog bark and they say, "See, there you hear Murphy barking." No, you didn't hear Murphy barking. You heard a dog. It may or may not have been Murphy. But when you tell everybody that's Murphy and then you paint the story, then everybody thinks it is. It's the same thing that happened, in my opinion, with Dylan said she saw somebody with a gun in the house. No, she did not. She saw something she described, and then Pavarotti said, "What else could it be other than a gun?" And then everybody started repeating that Dylan saw a guy with a gun. No, she did not. Go back and watch what she said. If she saw a gun, she would have said she saw a gun. She described something with a triangle shape and a cylinder, to which a YouTuber said, "What else can that be other than a gun?" And to which I countered, if it was a gun, why not just say she saw it with a gun? But anyways, the point is that I don't like the isolated videos and the isolated audios a lot because of that, because even when you hear something, you're not certain what you hear, but you start telling people, "Oh, here you hear Murphy barking." You don't know that's Murphy. Multiple dogs. When I did a walk around, multiple dogs barked at me.
I think that was. I think that your video that you got from that may be one of the most important things that you captured.
So somebody's calling me on this. You guys tell me if I'm wrong. Somebody's calling me saying Dylan did say a gun. I feel like I've watched this case over and over again. I don't remember.
No, she did not. Ever. No. So what? No, I saw. So in one of the interviews, I don't know what. I know I guess we get to. She had 5 interviews. One of them we'll never get to see because it's FBI, Homeland Security. So I don't remember exactly. It wasn't the first interview, whatever, on scene. So it was one of the later ones. What she was asked about, hearing the noise, or did she see a flash and all that stuff, and the person interviewing her said, "Could it be a gun?" And she said something to the effect like, "It could be, it could have been," or whatever. She did not say, "I saw a gun." That's not what she said.
And it was Bethany who saw the flash and heard the firecracker sound, not Dylan, right? Yeah.
Right. But the problem is, though, obviously, that they were friends, and you're doing later interviews. So if you think that Dylan and Bethany didn't speak, like, "Oh, what did they ask you? What did you, oh, I told them about the flash. I told them about this, but in no interview did Dylan specifically come out and say, I know, I saw a gun." It's the same thing, the same kind of thing with the bushy eyebrows.
Bushy eyebrows, right.
She never brought up, "I saw bushy eyebrows." That was all from the detectives or cops. Yeah. So it was leading words, exactly.
Yeah. Same way with the balaclava.
Yeah, right. The balaclava, the same thing. Could it have been a balaclava? Here's what it looks like. Oh yeah, that's what it was. Yeah. So yeah.
And then they made her draw one. What?
Yeah. Yeah, right. After they show it to her, draw this. Okay, I'll draw that. It's insane. All right, let's talk a little bit about. By the way, I saw Jeff H is in here. What's funny about that is, Birdie has that standing thing. God damn it, Jeff! And so it's funny.
DA is the dog catcher.
Yeah, Jeff used to come in and bust my nuts all the time, and he did it in just the way where it was like, "Jeff, man, you're riding the wire here. You're like almost being a troll, but you're not being a dick enough to get kicked out." So welcome back, Jeff. My love-hate relationship, Jeff. Let's hope that you don't get kicked out tonight. My mods, of course, will be taking care of it, but be on that line where you really ride it. You can bust my nuts a little bit, but don't be rude. So, anyways, I wanted to show you something. We talked yesterday about, was it yesterday? We weren't on yesterday. I was on with Birdie yesterday. We talked the last time we were together about an article that said that Brian Kobberger is throwing a temper tantrum over bananas in prison. Remember that story? And then when you read the details, all it was he filed a complaint, of which the reporter didn't even read the complaint. They just know that the complaint, and then said he's throwing a temper tantrum. And now comes another report of Brian Kobberger and his temper tantrums over the bananas. For God's sake, it was a complaint of which nobody had even read, and fucking jackass said he's throwing a temper tantrum, and now gets repeated over and over again. But listen to this. Idaho killer Bryan Kobberger's shocking prison threat revealed in the Free the Crime Desk newsletter, which, by the way, is a pitch for them to, if you want to know what Bryan Kobberger threatened somebody with, you need to sign up with their newsletter and pay money or whatever to do it. But anyways, first, it was complaints about noisy inmates tormenting him, allegedly making threats. Next, it was his issues with missing items on his meal tray and access to his commissary. Then it was his tantrums about the type of bananas that the Idaho state's providing him. Tantrum was never, literally the guy who said he was throwing tantrums said that he found that he had filed a complaint and hadn't read it, so he doesn't know what it's about. And that somehow got into him saying he's throwing a temper tantrum, and now other places are repeating Bryan Kobberger's throwing a temper tantrum. Ridiculous. Anyways, and now in this week's edition of the Crime Desk newsletter, the Daily Mail will exclusively reveal the shocking threat that Bryan Kobberger has started making to prison staff if they don't give in to his demands. So you need to sign up and pay money to get that. I myself question your integrity when you keep reporting the throwing a temper tantrum over bananas, of which you don't even know, you've never even read the fucking complaint. So how do you say you're throwing a temper tantrum over bananas? But that's the kind of journalistic integrity we're going to get. So am I going to sign up for your true Crime Desk newsletter for the shocking details of Bryan Kobberger threatening staff in the prison? I can't wait to see that. No, never mind. Go douche, whatever. All right. Point being is I'm out with that rant. What else do I have? Perez Hilton's talking about the movie that's coming out, the ripped from the headlines, Idaho 4 murders being played by actors. The Gonzalez family is highly upset. Here's some pictures of the actors dancing in between filming of the show and goofing off. And there was comments in here. It says, a new made-for-TV movie set network ripped from the headlines movie series. It follows the devastating slayings of the college students. Amid backlash about the making of the movie, leading lady Haley Hansen, who was playing Kaylee Gonzalez, went viral for posting a clip of her dancing in her costume covered in fake blood, and she's dancing and whatever. It's funny because I get shamed for talking about the inconsistencies in the crime because I'm victim shaming, but here we got this movie being made, ripped from the headlines, and the actors dancing in blood, having a good time about it, and I'm the asshole for questioning why they didn't call 911 for 8 hours and still having a problem with that. But anyways, I just thought that was interesting. Another piece of news that I picked up in the case. And is this one more on Idaho 4 or is this a different case? Nope, that's on Charlie Kirk. So we'll hold that. Before we move on to other things, I think even though Charlie Kirk was next on my slide or whatever, I think I want to talk about Luigi Manjoni a little bit first, and then we'll get into Charlie Kirk and then we'll exit out. Again, I'm begging somebody, if you want to come up, this is a great opportunity. We got a good audience. We got a lot of people here. Shit, Jeff H might come up on thing and see if he can get himself kicked off the show. That'd be entertaining. But anyways, but if you want to come up, I posted the link, I think. Did the link go?
Yeah.
Or did it just
okay.
Yeah.
I
don't even see my own link. So if you follow that link, you can get backstage. I'll acknowledge that you're backstage and you can come up and ask questions. You are allowed to ask questions about any of the cases I follow. So even though we're going to be talking right now about who did I say we're going to talk about next? We're going to talk about
Luigi. You
said
you wanted to talk about Luigi. Yeah.
We're going to talk about Luigi. Yeah. Even though we're talking about that, we can go back to Idaho 4 or whatever. So take the opportunity if you can, or question me on something you've seen on my one of the videos and say, DA, oh my God, how about this one before we move on to Luigi? How about this one? So, oh my God, I shouldn't do this. People say, DA, quit talking about people who say shitty things. Just move on. And I should. But I literally walked. You saw the footage. I walked it during the daytime, the 1122 King Road residence. I walked past the whites and I pointed out the whites, the Banfield, the Sigma Chi. I pointed out the greenhouse you see all the time in the video footage of the car coming and going. I point out 1112 King Road residence and I talk about the people partying the night that we were up there. I showed Jack DeCour's place where he was staying. I showed Emily and Hunter's place where they were staying. I showed the pathway that walks into the back of 112 King. I drove around and I showed you the lot. I showed you the memorial sitting there in front of the house. I went to the back of the lot where Molly McMichael's allegedly happened and where where Kobberger may have parked, and I showed you where that was at. I walked around Linda Lane and up Linda Lane. I walked into it, and I filmed Linda Lane from the ground. I showed you the walking path from Linda Lane through the Queen Apartments where Showalter was supposed to be at, right into the back of 112 King Road residence. I filmed the clock towers showing the Westminster bells and the timing of the Westminster bells, and then someone said, DA missed everything important in this case. That idiot didn't show the whites, the fire hydrant, or the treehouse. And I'm like, you jackass. Like, literally, like, how many things did I just show you? And by the way, I did point out the whites like 3 times.
You did.
And you see the treehouse. You see the tree. Like, anyways, that's the kind of shit that I have to, that's the kind of shit that I have to deal with. Like, DA didn't show a damn thing important to this case. Like, I just showed you fucking most of the case. Anyways, it's the life that I live. All right. Let's talk about Luigi Manjoni. So Luigi Manjoni's case, I will try not to lose too many people as I do this. Luigi Manjoni has got a monumental thing going on right now. He is facing multiple days, 3 days at least, of suppression hearings. What that means is, so Luigi Manjoni is on trial for the shooting of Brian Thompson, CEO of United Healthcare, on December 4th, 2024. He is now doing some pre-trial stuff on the arrest that happened in Altoona, Pennsylvania, 5 days after the shooting, where they arrested Luigi Manjoni in Altoona, Pennsylvania. That his attorney in Altoona, Pennsylvania, Thomas Dickey, filed a large complaint saying it was an illegal arrest, that he wasn't read his Miranda rights for 17 minutes while he being detained, patted down, not read his Miranda rights, separated from his backpack and had them illegally search and seize his backpack and then repack it when they realized they found stuff, and then placed him under arrest after they already searched him and all. So all of that happened, and the attorney in that in Pennsylvania said that's illegal. Then he was extradited to New York to face charges in the state and the federal government in New York for the murder of Brian Thompson, and they started to use all of the evidence seized during what was an illegal arrest in Altoona, Pennsylvania, in my opinion. Also in the opinion of the attorneys in New York. So Karen Agnifilo filed a huge thing, including screenshots and pictures of Luigi Manjoni being detained in the corner by a human wall of officers, 8 to 11 officers at one point, pinning Luigi Manjoni in a corner, making it so he can't leave, while simultaneously telling him he was always free to leave anytime he wanted to, while he was surrounded by a wall of officers, and all these things. And now we're on day 2 now of the suppression hearings. Now, here's what I'll say about that. It's monumental on whether or not the judge is going to rule that was a legal arrest. And I can give you updates as I'm not in the courtroom, unfortunately, like I was for the Kobberger's sentencing and the plea change and stuff like that. But I am watching Twitter on multiple feeds and getting the gist of it. Some of it's not going as well as I anticipated. It seems like it should be an open and shut illegal arrest. The judge does not seem terribly happy with the defense, hasn't been treating them well. Like, as an example,
I timed him out for 5 minutes.
Oh, did you? You timed somebody out?
Yeah.
Jeff H.
No, that was quick. God damn it,
Jeff. See you later.
That was this morning.
All right,
don't piss off.
Don't piss off the mob.
Don't piss off Robin.
So anyways, so the bad news is that, for example, when the defense was narrating the arrest in Altoona, Pennsylvania, and said, here you see 3 customers come into the McDonald's, and the judge cut him off and said, I can watch the video myself. Like, you don't have to narrate the whole thing. Not a good way to start when he's correcting and being pissy with the defense. So that wasn't great. And here's the thing. Here's my assessment what's happening so far in the case. Day 1, what happened was the prosecution brought in 2 jailers, 2 people who worked at the correctional facility where Luigi Manjoni was being detained, to testify that he told them personally that he had a 3D printed ghost gun on him, that he had a false ID and passport, and that people thought he might have been like an outside terrorist or whatever, and that he had foreign cash on him. And he talked about his complaints with the healthcare industry and so on. And so what I surmise in my armchair legal analysis kind of mind is what they are trying to establish, what the prosecution is trying to establish is, if the judge rules that was Judge Caro, by the way, is the name of the judge in that case. And somebody just asked what the judge's name is. It's Judge Caro. I can't remember his first name. Do you remember? George Caro? No, I can't remember. Gregory Caro. Gregory Caro, I think is his name.
Gregory.
Anyways, Caro's the judge. And by the way, Carl has already ruled in favor of the defense on a major issue. We can talk about that in a minute. But anyways, the point being is that what I believe that the prosecution is trying to do is they're trying to lay down with testimony from jailers that all the things that could get tossed out if it was an illegal arrest, they're going to just admit into court through the word of the jailers. Hey, yeah, so maybe the arrest was illegal, and maybe we don't have the gun, and maybe we don't have a confession letter, and maybe we don't have his notebook complaining about his problems with the health insurance industry, but we have the next best thing. We have jailers who were in the jail with him, and Luigi was running his mouth saying, hey, I have a ghost gun. I had money on me. I have problems with the health insurance. So that's what they're doing now. Is I feel like they're laying the foundation on, if you toss out all of this stuff, Judge, and say it was an illegal arrest, we already have people that are going to say he admitted to having all those things. So it'll be the next best thing. So that seems to be what they're doing right now. What I haven't seen, unfortunately, right now is his team, by the way, is a rock star legal team, and they filed amazing, like 40, I think it was a 40-page description about why that was an illegal arrest. However, they are really, really quiet in the courtroom. They haven't been making a strong case for it. Reading it, and I wasn't there, but reading it, it doesn't look good. It looks like they're just accepting that it was a relatively legal arrest, which would be a huge change. So I don't know if that's because their argument has already been made in writing, and so the judge has already seen the writing. They don't need to reiterate the whole thing. I don't know exactly what the strategy is, but there's also more days coming of the suppression hearing. So we're just kind of getting started. So we'll see how that how that pans out in the days ahead. But they're taking the day off tomorrow, I think, because Gregory Caro wanted to take the day off tomorrow.
The judge is going to have to, I mean, it's pretty simple to figure out. I mean, it's not really a complicated, it's not a complicated, it has a huge effect on what will happen in the case, of course, but it's not, it should be relatively easy for the judge to decide whether it's a lawful arrest or not. It's very, very, very simple. We covered this a few days, I think last week. Custody plus interrogation equals an arrest. So they can say the officers or whoever they want to argue, oh, he was free to leave. Well, he's not free to leave if he's surrounded by 10 officers and he can't leave now. No. And you know, if he's handcuffed, like everything that they did. Timing is everything, and what questions was he asked? You know, he's really only allowed to be asked. You don't even you can ask someone, you know, what they call just identification type questions. Though that's not even a stop and question or a Terry stop. If you know, at that point, you don't have to answer. You could walk away or whatnot. But once you're forcibly stopped, and then they start asking you questions, that custody plus interrogation equals arrest. You cannot be asked questions or anything about a gun, about anything that has to do with what you're going to be charged with, unless they read you. Unless it doesn't have to be read. A lot of people have that misconception too. There's again Hollywood movies and TV shows.
Right.
You need to be. We say read, told. But your Miranda rights have to be told to you if they're going to ask you about the crime that you're charged with.
Let's stop for a minute and make sure people understand two things. First, though there may be people who don't understand who 1-1 is or what he does. 1-1 is a 20 plus year NYPD police officer. So he knows a bit about laws. He knows what a Terry frisk is. He knows what is allowed for detention. And like you said, some of this is pretty straightforward. Like the law states, if you've detained somebody, you know, and they can't leave, kind of thing. I mean, there are rules. And so I wanted to ask you this question, because one of the things I feel like they've backed themselves into the corner for, and we haven't talked about this a lot, 1-1 is, so on the one hand, they tried to say initially that they came there because the guy was loitering, that he'd stayed there too long, and they were coming. So they initially got a 911 call that said, we think he's the shooter in New York. Then when they got there, they told him, we've been told you're loitering, and that's the reason why you're being questioned, because we told you we're loitering. So they kind of lied to him by saying, we're not here because we think you're the shooter. We're here because we were told you're loitering. And here's where they backed themselves into a corner, in my opinion. But I need your interpretation.
Yeah.
The officer during the suppression hearings stated, I knew immediately who he was. I walked in. I suspected he was the shooter because they told me that he was the shooter. I asked him to remove his mask and pull it down, and I immediately recognized him. At that point, I told an officer to stand with him. We took his ID. We went out. We ran it. And I feel like they backed themselves into a problem, because if you know he's the shooter, he now is under investigation for the murder of Brian Thompson, and yet you're not informing him he has the right to remain silent, because anything he says at that point could be used against him. So they literally admitted, I knew immediately he was the shooter, and I detained him and didn't read him his Miranda rights for 17 minutes.
Correct. Right. So if he recognized him, which he may very well, maybe he did recognize him, he should have been placed in handcuffs immediately at that point, and that's it. You can't. You could ask him his name, basic ID type questions. He could ask him, where are you coming from? Where are you going? Where are you staying? Like stuff like that. But anything that would have to do with anything that's on him, they kind of, like I said, maybe the officer did recognize him. But if that's the case, he didn't follow. He didn't, like you said, I'd have to see the body camera footage, and that's where,
right.
And that's where the body camera, and this is where body camera footage actually is a huge thing, because 20, 30 years ago, like if this case happened 30 years ago, they would just be relying on whatever the officer said. Oh, this is what happened. This is what I said. He said this. This is what happened, and it's very easy to kind of like turn the events. Oh, this is what happened. Well, now we have the body camera. You have the body camera, so we could see exactly what happened. What they should have done, if he recognized them, he should have been placed in handcuffs immediately. And yes, at that point, once he's placed in handcuffs, now they're going to do, he's under arrest. They do a full search on him. Obviously, they have to check, make sure he has no weapons on his person. And they can, at that moment, they can go through his, do a quick search. You're not going to let him, he's not going to sit in the back of a police car with a gun inside of a bag. They could do a quick little check of the bag. But at that point, you would be they call it an inventory search, because we have to account for all property that is on you. And at that point, he would have then had a lawful arrest, because he would have said, I recognize this guy. This is stuff that happens all the time. We have people who are wanted for robberies, for assaults. We put out what's called an ID card, or a suspect ID card, or a probable cause warrant. Oh, I recognize this guy from the poster. Okay, so you're now the person is now under arrest. You bring them in. You do that search, and before you question them on anything that has to do with anything, the Miranda rights have to be given. Now you don't need to read him his Miranda rights to go through the bag, but you're covered with the bag, because you have to do an inventory search of all contents. The same thing if they had stopped him on a car stop.
Yeah,
they'd bring him in, and now you would have to inventory the car. So how do you inventory a car? Well, you would have to open the trunk, you'd have to open the glove box, you'd have to search the whole car. So that would cover you.
And they've changed their tune a little bit too. It really kind of irritates me, because originally, Officer Wasser, who's a female, Christy Wasser, I think is her name, searched his back. They separated him early from his backpack, and then she searched the backpack looking for. And as Karen Agnifilo writes at his attorney, when she realized she fucked up and found the gun and she didn't have a warrant, an officer literally tells her, "We really should get a warrant for searching that." And she's like, "Oh well, I was looking for a bomb." Made up a story about looking for a bomb while not clearing the McDonald's, not making anybody get a bomb, but you're going to do that right. And then she's like, "Oh." Because Karen says when she realized this was the moment she fucked up. When she realized she fucked up and she found the gun, she repacked the bag. But here's what's interesting. Now they're changing their story a little bit because the officer now who claims that he took his backpack away said the reason why he took the backpack away is because I recognized him as the shooter. I knew that the crime was committed with a gun and I was afraid he had a gun in his backpack. That's the new stuff that they were saying in the courtroom, which has slightly changed because they never said anything about being concerned about a gun. They were looking for a bomb. Now all of a sudden the news story is we're separating him because we think because we know he shot somebody with a gun, so we think he might have a gun in his backpack, so we separate him from his gun.
Right. So, well, he could say that. He can say that all he wants, but it's the body. What does the body camera show? So the body camera will paint the picture. Well, well, he wasn't under arrest yet. Why were you guys going through his bag?
And what's funny is, and again, I'm reading tweets from the courtroom, so I'm not seeing live. But what's funny is the person who tweeted from the courtroom, there was just one moment, really, really muted from Luigi's defense, where Karen Agnifilo just simply asked one of the officers, "You are aware of what Miranda rights are, correct?" And he's like, "Yes." And then they just moved on. Like, not going to spend a lot of time beating that to death. You do know what, like, it's almost like they're holding their cards for later. Like, you can talk all day long about why you did stuff. You do know what Miranda rights are, right? Because we'll get back to that like on day 3 about Miranda rights and what you didn't do. So it's kind of interesting to see how that plays out. But
yeah, you got to be real. You have to be real careful when you have people stopped, and you have to really know. You really have to know what you're doing with the law, going to go through someone's bag. Yeah. And you almost, and it really, actually, it really, you just say what it is. Cause again, all of this stuff winds up being used, what they call as discovery evidence. And it's all used, and all you have to say on scene, you have the arrest is, you can tell the perpetrator, the suspect too. I have to account for all your property. I have to do an inventory search, and it's right there on body camera.
Let me make sure you guys, and make sure people, because people haven't heard this for a long time. Here's another suspicious thing that happened. And by the way, I think Karen started to lay the foundation for this. I saw it, which she did with the tweets. But here's the thing, like you talked about, at the scene, you can check the bag for certain reasons, and you need to do a quick inventory list. It was hours later. I would think it was over 5 hours later, after the body bag, or the body bag, after the backpack was put in the back of a patrolman's patrol car without body camera on at all. For 11 minutes, it goes off screen. We don't see it. 5 hours later, an NYPD police officer shows up in Altoona, Pennsylvania, and signs the search warrant, and there's new items in the inventory list. So there was initial inventory list taken on the arrest, and then it was researched 5 hours later with NYPD on the paper, and there's new items on the inventory list. So again, for the suspicious mind, you're like, did somebody just all of a sudden find new things in the backpack? Like, why does it show up now? And why is NYPD signing Altoona, Pennsylvania's search of the bag? So it looks weird.
It does.
And Karen asked, why was NYPD there? Like, this is Altoona, Pennsylvania. Why did NYPD send somebody down ASAP and then show up for the official search of the bag and sign off on the inventory list? It's really weird. Anyways, for what it's worth, you have any other comments about Luigi Manjoni? Again, for those people who don't know why I follow Luigi Manjoni's case, I do this caveat every so often. I'm not rooting for the bad guys in every case, but I do believe that if you're going to convict somebody, especially if you're going to call them the most dangerous man in America and you're going to execute him, you should probably follow the law when doing so. Like, you can't execute somebody by violating the law and then have to break the law in order to do it. So they've already violated Luigi Manjoni's constitutional rights about 5 times already, in my opinion. Also the opinion of his attorney. She's pointed all, he's already had a sham of a trial already. He's been prejudiced. All kinds of shit's happened to him, and they want to execute him. And at the end of the day, I think Karen's happy with if they just take the death penalty off the table. Like, look, you can't, if you want to proceed with this already 6 ways you violated his constitutional rights, fine, but you can't also put him to death. So at the point that he's getting an unfair trial, you got to take the death penalty off, because you can't execute somebody also while breaking the law all over the place. So we'll see how that plays out. It's an interesting case. It's got my attention. And again, I call it a landmark case because here's why it's landmark. For those who haven't heard me say this for a while, I'll do one more thing at the sake of losing the last, audience. Here's the reason why. Normally, under normal circumstances, if the shooter, let's not even say it's Luigi Manjoni, if the shooter shot Brian Thompson, the CEO of United Healthcare, to send a message about the predatory healthcare system in America and viewed taking out a CEO as a way to fight back against a predatory healthcare system that kills people in the thousands by using AI to deny people's claims. And that's exactly what was happening. It was all over the news. They were using AI. They were having unprecedented numbers of denials. People were dying by getting lack of coverage. If somebody killed the CEO of United Healthcare to send a message about the predatory nature of the healthcare system, then is this trial going to put the healthcare system on trial? Are you going to be able to? And I was originally told by lawyers, attorneys who come on my show, man, that's a hard sell. And I even said, I agree, because no judge is going to let that happen. Because here's what's going to happen. I say this all the time. A prosecutor is going to say, Your Honor, I object. This isn't a trial of the healthcare system's not on trial here. Luigi Manjoni's on trial for shooting Brian Thompson. End of story. And they'll say sustained. We're not putting the healthcare system on trial. But they had a major win. When Judge Carl, the same judge that's ruling over the arrest in Pennsylvania, Judge Carl ruled that this was not murder in the first degree in furtherance of an act of terrorism. Therefore, he removed the terrorism charge and it became second-degree murder. When it became second-degree murder, it allowed them in the state case to argue, if they want, basically something tantamount to not temporary insanity, but basically it allows them to explain how they got to the point where they felt that was necessary. And in order to explain to a jury how they got, it's like if I shot my wife and her lover in bed, and because I lost my mind, then yes, I did kill them, and there's no question about it, and I should go to jail for murder. However, a lot of states say, well, we have to consider you lost your mind because you just saw your partner in bed with somebody else, and maybe you need to factor that in before you execute the guy, because maybe he just lost his mind, and maybe half of us would have lost our mind in that situation. So what it allows Luigi Manjoni to do, if he goes that route, is explain to a jury why he became so disgruntled against the healthcare system. And then it does exactly what I said. It puts the healthcare system on trial, because then everyone has to hear why he got to that point. If he did it, that's if he did it. I can't stress enough. Luigi Manjoni has the presumption of innocence until proven guilty in a court of law. We don't know that he's the shooter, but whoever the shooter is may have an opportunity to put the United States healthcare system on trial through the, yeah, I did it, but you have to understand why I did it loophole. So it's an interesting case. Is there a death penalty in New York? So great question. Fantastic question. Hopefully you won't get bored with the legal answer. So Luigi Manjoni faces two sovereignties in New York. He's facing the state of New York, and he's facing the federal government in New York. The state of New York does not execute people anymore. They stopped executing people quite a while ago, maybe 10 years ago. And so New York State doesn't execute anybody anymore. They found it unconstitutional to kill people in the state. And part of the reason why, by the way, I looked into it further, part of the reason why New York no longer executes people is because they feel that the judicial system is prejudicial against people when death is on the line. When death is on the line, they have a death qualified jury that is more likely to convict and put somebody to death. It changes the rules, and it's too prejudicial. It's too easy to kill somebody if you have the death penalty. So they just decided to do away with the death penalty. So the state of New York does not have the death penalty. However, the federal government wants to execute Luigi Manjoni, and so they swooped in and they charged him. And the federal government, the Southern District of New York, can execute Luigi Manjoni with aggravating circumstances. So if it's murder with aggravating circumstances, which what they're trying to say. So it's very confusing for people who aren't following the law really carefully. Luigi Manjoni right now is fighting the state side. He's not fighting the federal side. The federal side is the one who wants to execute him. The state side is just looking to put him away life forever without the possibility of parole for murder. But because it's been removed, and it wouldn't have been a death penalty anyways, again, because they don't have the death penalty in the state case. But it's all related, because we're fighting three different jurisdictions at the same time. So great question. State of New York does not have the death penalty, but the federal government, the Southern District of New York, does have the death penalty, and they're going after him as well for the death penalty. Any other questions? A great question. All righty then. You guys have anything on Luigi before we head out to talk a little bit about Charlie Kirk and then maybe head out for the night? All right.
Yeah, we're good.
So Charlie Kirk situation, again, could arguably be the biggest case in America, but you wouldn't know it by YouTube analytics because it seems like Idaho 4 owns the true crime space right now. And Luigi Manjon is a huge case, but Charlie Kirk is a huge case as well. I just wanted to talk a little bit again about the Candace Owens effect because, and let's see if I can read, what do I have on screen right now? Oh, I just need to put this on screen. So Candace Owens, here's the thing, like, and I know that some of our panelists really, really love everything Candace Owens says. Every day they got to see the newest thing that Candace says, and it's always Candace was dropping bombs and stuff like that. And here's the problem. People are starting to realize that Candace Owens isn't bringing the receipts to her bombs. She literally told us, I'm going to go dark for a week because the French government is going to kill me and assassinate me. The White House is going to back me up, and they're going to make an announcement for the White House. That announcement has never come. And people are starting to point out how many times now has Candace said, you're going to see this happen, you're going to see this happen, they're going to all back up my receipts, and nobody's backing up her receipts. So people are starting to wonder now if Candace Owens is just clickbaiting us all in America. Is she really on top of this story as much as she says she is, or is she being sensationalist by talking about people want to kill her or whatever and saying that the government's right behind her and they know what's happening and U.S. intelligence and Trump is going to come out and back up all her allegations, and it never happens. Mm-hmm. And so people are starting to ask those questions. And of course, if we had Jason Estes on here, he'd be talking about Candace Owens, the CIA. If we had Joe from State of the Deep on here, we'd have some different thoughts as well. So we're missing some of our panelists that would question those things. But I just thought that was interesting, worth mentioning. I don't know that we can. I mean, how do you guys feel about? I mean, I don't know if you're following the Charlie Kirk as much, but how do you feel about Candace Owens in this case?
I mean, the problem is that she has so much connection to,
high level people,
right. and
it's
very right, and it's very highly believable that she was some kind of operative, or has some connection to CIA and other stuff. So it's hard, if she makes a lot of accusations. She, like you said, she makes these videos with these bombshell accusations, and she names people too. She's going all in on the French. I'll tell you, I'll say that.
Yeah, right. Yeah, she's doubled down on it.
She's gotten. I mean, her latest thing, she's basically saying that the FBI was modeled after Bonaparte. So I don't know. She's obviously, she speaks very well. She's obviously she's very passionate about what she does. You watch her streams and whatnot, and I do believe that she was friends with Charlie Kirk. I don't think that's fake.
I mean, there's lots of pictures of them together on tour and stuff together.
I know pictures could be faked and all that, but I do think she's sincere about that. I do think, but it's, how it's very hard to go by some of the stuff that she says without, as you say, with the proper receipt. I mean, some of the stuff that she says, she flat out, I won't even say some of the names. She's naming people from Turning Point now. Her newest video, like, as I said, I'm not going to say the name. I don't know if there's any receipts or what to back it up. There's a woman, she's saying that the certain person has been acting strange and all this stuff. Like, where is she getting this from? What, where are the receipts to back it up?
And I'll say this, like, what I agree with Joe is, from Joe from State of the Deep. What I agree with him on is, regardless of how you feel about Candace, if you're following this case, you kind of have to follow her too, because she's front and center of the thing. So whether you think she's, as some people are saying in the chat, whether you think she's controlled opposition, or she's a limited hangout and she's telling us just the things the government wants us to hear, or whether she's full on, really is on the know, regardless of how you feel about her, you kind of have to know what she's talking about day to day if you're following this case, because everyone's talking about what she's talking about.
Right.
So,
I mean,
which again makes me skeptical, because then she's controlling the narrative. Like, if everyone's taking the talking points from Candace, then she's controlling the narrative.
Right. I mean, some of the stuff is definitely, you know, highly believable. You know, where she points out in the summer where, you know, they had an event with good old Tucker Carlson and whatnot, and that seemed to be, you know, no pun intended, a turning point, right? I like what I did there. Yeah,
I love it. I love what you did there. Yeah,
yeah, but she may that may very well be true, because it's definitely true that it seemed that Charlie was kind of being a little more voiceful on certain things with Israel and stuff like that. Does that mean that, you know, he's fully fledged, you know, anti-Israel, that he's anti-Semitic, that he's this or that? No, because he, you know, maybe didn't like, you know, some of the policies or some of the action that, you know, was going on with the Palestinians and whatnot, and that kind of stuff. That doesn't mean that he's anti-Israel, but that, you know, that's very highly, you know, probable. And they said that, you know, Netanyahu and Israel, that they were going to invest and give a lot more money to Turning Point, and he apparently turned it down and whatnot, because he, you know, I could believe that he didn't want to be bought. He wanted to have his own view, but, you know, there comes, you know, that gray area there. What kind of influence does foreign policy dictate, you know, of what happened, what's going on? So
that's the difficulty with. That's the difficulty with this case in the first place, is it's hard for me, because you can't talk about I've said this before, you can't talk about Charlie Kirk's case without getting into politics. And I'm kind of focused on true crime, and it's one of the biggest true crime cases in America, but you can't talk about Charlie Kirk without getting into politics.
And it's
you can't talk about it without getting into Israel, and you can't get into without getting into Jeffrey Epstein, and you get into Trump, and you get it, like, it's got politics written all over it. I'm not a political show, so
and it's a whole circle, because I almost I would believe, I would, you know, I wouldn't, you know, big money obviously can always have an effect on things in the future. But I would almost, you know, as with any case, I mean, there could be multiple things at one time, and maybe that's why the decision was made. Oh, you know, something has to be done or whatnot. But I put the Epstein thing high up there, because
and it reminds me that I need to do another chapter of my book series, One Nation Under Blackmail, because I think that a lot covers the Epstein thing, and I haven't done one for a while.
Series.
I love the series. I want to do another chapter on it. We've moved it to members only, though, because it just doesn't get the views. Like, no, you know, and every time I put out something that gets no views, it hurts the channel overall. And while I'm not doing things for clickbait, because I definitely am still doing it, but it's going to be more like, well, if only like a handful of people are interested, then we'll do it, you know, for members only, for those people who are really interested in that case. But I am doing anyway, I don't want to plug myself for doing great, but it's a great book, and I'm doing a book review of my thoughts about how how Jeffrey Epstein's case relates to the Charlie Kirk case, in my view. It's my gut. My gut tells me that, and this entire book that I'm reviewing deals with how the U.S. government has been blackmailed for a long time, how we're in bed with Israel, how Epstein has basically gotten a whole bunch of politicians blackmailed, and maybe people would literally be willing to kill people if people push for the release of the Epstein files.
And
like
I
Charlie
think
Kirk allegedly was doing.
And I think a huge thing too that you that's laid out in that book and that you explain very, very well is, going back now 50, 60, 70 years and how integrated the
How
mafia
long it's been going on.
and
Yeah.
how integrated
Oh, yeah.
the mafia was involved in politics all the way back, dealing with the blackmail and all kinds of stuff having effect on politics, going back a long time, even before the Kennedy assassination. But
yeah, the book makes
Oh,
book makes a strong argument that you almost can't tell the difference between
yeah,
the mob, organized crime, and our government.
right,
Because they're that in bed. They're that in
right.
bed. You can't
Yep.
tell who's organized
Very
crime and
true.
who's government. There's like where do you draw the line between the two? They're in bed with each other on everything. So I got one more quick story about that I thought was interesting on the Charlie Kirk in a roundabout way, and then I think I'll finish out with a Idaho 4 thing for those who want to hang around. Only in that, I think I'm going to play us out with pretty much one more time for those who haven't heard it, or those who want to hear it one more time. I don't want to beat it to death, but it's one of those things that if you've heard it a million times and you're tired of it, you can just leave at that point, or you can hang out and listen to the song. I think it's hilarious. Again, I'll give you a warning about why it's offensive when we get there. But the last story I wanted to share real quick that I thought was interesting is this story about Kash Patel, the director of the FBI, and whether he's in over his head on this Tyler Robinson thing. And I thought this was interesting. FBI sources, this is from The Hill, which is considered by some to be a reputable source. FBI source criticizes Kash Patel in leaked report. What to know. A new report details various issues at the FBI under Director Kash Patel and Deputy Director Dan Bongino, according to the New York Post. In a 115-page report, includes criticism of Patel from active duty and retired FBI agents and analysts, with one source describing the Bureau as a rudderless ship under the first-year director. And here's the crazy part. This is the part that I thought was worth pointing out. One source of criticism of Patel was his behavior in the aftermath of the September 10 fatal shooting of conservative activist Charlie Kirk in Orem, Utah. Upon arriving in Provo, Utah, the day after Kirk was assassinated, Patel refused to get off the FBI jet without an official bureau jacket, which he did not have with him. FBI special agents at Salt Lake City field office found Patel a medium-sized jacket belonging to a female agent so he could get off the plane, because he wouldn't get off the plane unless he had a jacket, so they took a female's jacket and gave it to him so he could get off the plane. But then Patel noticed that two areas on the upper sleeves didn't have the Velcro patches attached, so two FBI SWAT team members, the report says, gave the director their patches at the airport. So he's literally like, I must be dressed in a certain way to step off this plane. It looks a little pretentious, and they're calling him out on it. So Patel is also accused in the report of giving premature public remarks amid the investigation into the shooting and for taking credit for the work of other agencies when the suspect, 22-year-old Tyler Robinson, was taken into custody. Furthermore, the FBI director allegedly yelled at Robert Bowles, an FBI special agent in charge, amid frustrations with the investigation. This last comment was funny. Representative Eric Swadwell of California, who sits in the House Judiciary Committee, said Monday on social media platform X, "I don't mind if Kash Patel had to wear a woman's-sized medium jacket and cosplay as someone in charge. I just wish that he'd focus on stopping the rampant domestic terrorism happening on his watch." I thought that was funny. Kash Patel's doing cosplay as the director of FBI. That's hilarious. That's hilarious to me.
It is.
I don't know. I find that shit funny. All right, you guys. I think wrapping up a little early tonight would be good. What do you guys think? Do you guys have anything special? We didn't have any special guests come on. I think we can give a little caveat warning on pretty much and play us out. What do you guys think?
Sounds good.
Yeah.
You're okay with that?
Yeah.
Well, thanks for you guys again. Like when you went on that big rant for a little bit there without telling people ahead of time what your role is, you need to caveat that set ahead of time so people realize you're not just speaking out of your ass. Like you have experience on arrests and Terry frisks and shit like that. Preface that stuff. Like, hey, this is something I do. So we need to make sure you catch that. So anyways, last thing I'm going to tell you real quick. This is a bit of humor that not everyone will find funny. If you're following the Idaho 4 case, you're probably aware of Dylan Mortensen and her various conflicting changes about what happened. It all pretty much happened at 4 a.m., she said. Pretty much happened around 4 a.m. She made statements about things that come up in this parody of a song about Dylan's shifting, ever-changing story. It is offensive to some people. You will call it victim shaming. We call it just lightening the mood. It's a meme. Relax. If you don't like that kind of stuff, switch it off now. Otherwise, see you guys next time. I'll play us out with Pretty Much, and I hope to see you guys tomorrow on the next show. All right. In the meantime, we'll put this on stage and remove this and put this up. Let's try that one more time. How come I can't put it on stage? There it is. It's on stage. Perfect. All right. Good night, everybody. Thank you so much for coming, and give us likes and subscribes on the way out.
Is it real or just a dream? Can I tell you what I've seen? Pretty much at 4 a.m. a man appeared in front of me. I don't recall a single thing. I'm so lost inside my mind. No one answers when I ring. Was it real or just a lie? Can I tell you what happened? Pretty much at 4 a.m. something happened. Pretty much, I don't know what happened. Pretty much, everyone is super nice. My friends were home, but I'm not sure. I went straight past and left her there. When I saw her lying on the floor, I ran away, but I wasn't scared. I don't recall a single thing. I'm so lost inside my mind. No one answers when I ring. Was it real or just a lie? Can I tell you what happened? Pretty much at 4 a.m. something happened. Pretty much, I don't know what happened. Pretty much, everyone is super nice. No one's answering. I'm really confused. I'm not remembering. Please, may I be excused? It wasn't like anything was wrong. I don't know if this is real or not. She danced with the dog and sang a song. What happened? I don't know. I forgot. I don't recall a single thing. I'm so lost inside my mind. No